right? And like we said, Islam means submission to the will of God. A Muslim is someone who submits to God. So by meaning and its message, Islam is universal, it's for everyone. So it sort of encapsulates what you're saying. But what we believe is that God has sent down a final revelation for the whole of humanity, not for a certain group of people in a desert or somewhere else in the world, but for the whole of humanity till the Day of Judgment. Right? So it encapsulates what you're saying, but under Islam, now when we say Islam, again, I want people to think of it not as in a religion, but the religion which was sent throughout history. So it's universal. Right? So essentially what you're saying, I would agree with a lot of what you're saying, which is that, for example, in the Quran it says, "La ikraha fid din." There is no compulsion in religion. Everyone has a mind. God has given everyone a free will to choose. Also, the message, the essence, which is worship on God alone, is something which is known to human hearts already. We already recognize that there has to be a cause, there has to be a creator, there is something there, which is beyond the physical. So the essence of Islam is already there. So when you see it like that, and you understand that Islam is universal and it's calling for everyone, it's a calling for everyone, I see it as a way of life that everyone can adopt, if understood properly.
I completely agree with what you're saying, and I think that when people come to a point in their life where they're ready to accept a format of progressive conditioning, when they're ready to open up their souls and say, I'm here. I believe that however that person takes it should be guided by his brothers and sisters around him, and us should, along with other people. I don't see ever. My dad spent 5 years in Jeddah, Medina. He did his Umrah.
Have you been?
No, I haven't. But what I do where I'm from in Bath is when I came to faith some 5.5 years now. It was at the birth of my twins, a little boy, little girl. Very traumatic, and I relinquished all of my kind of worldly goods, so give everything away. And I stood there and I had the Quran in one hand, the Bible in the other, and I couldn't read it, but I understood it in my heart both. And in that, I decided to take what I knew, what I'd seen from my father, because we all learn from our fathers, God willing, and I decided to walk forward with an open heart. And no religion conditioned my way of thinking. It was a decision where I had one, and I decided that I was going to walk through with both. And in my walking day, I bring Christians and Muslims together in moderate worship. In Bath, where I live, I've helped create a huge 7.5-ton statue of Mother Mary. Now the interesting thing about that is it's the biggest stone to ever be laid in the World Heritage City of Bath. It's massive. And as soon as we unveiled it, we had some Muslim university students. They came and parked their cars in a church car park, and I said, "Oh, hello, salam alaikum." Alaikum salam. And we spoke, and they said, "Oh, we see Mother Mary. We understand this." And I said, "Well, can I pray for you? Can I pray for you to go forward and excel in your own faith, and for you to tell people about this garden, which is open for everybody?" And in that, there was 11 university students who realised it was okay to be able to come and sit in a space which was deemed to be inaccessible, but they parked their cars. So what we're doing is we're breaking down walls and conventional divides.
It's very interesting because, for example, in the Quran, there are passages where the Quran refers to the people of the book, and there's a lot of respect that's there as well. For example, when God says, "Ya Ahl Kitab," "O people of the book," there's an honor behind this, the way it's said in Arabic. Come to a common word between us and you. Now, the only distinction I will make here is that we're all for, coming together and discussing in a friendly, compassionate way. This is why I don't like much of the discussions that take place in Speaker's Corner. Very aggressive. It's almost like you're trying to force down things down people's throats. But there is a balance that needs to be attained, which is in the aim for unity and coming together, we shouldn't lose the truth. Right? So hence, and this is the balance that Islam maintains, is that it calls people to reason and to think. And for example, it acknowledges Jesus is one of the greatest messengers, and it acknowledges he came with the same message, which is to worship God alone. But what happened was, over time, people started to worship the messenger, not follow the message itself, which is to worship God, the Creator. Now, Islam clarifies this once more. It says, look, every single human is created by God. God loves His creation. He's providing even for the atheist. The atheist is breathing and drinking and having fun and enjoying life, right? But He created us to worship Him alone, to know Him alone. And it makes sense, even rationally, if you think about it. As intelligent human beings, we realize that we have an affinity to worship and submit and to follow. And if we understand this about ourselves, doesn't it make sense to worship the Creator and not created things? Right?
I think that Creator comes alive in ourselves when we love ourselves.
Yes.
And I think that if you can put your hand on one stranger in your life and assist that person into loving himself or herself, and in that, you've done your work in this life. If you're good at it and you can help everybody emerge in their own faith with the same oscillation, then I believe you're doing God's work. I say God because I mean God. Your football show, who do you support? Football?
I don't watch football.
You don't watch football?
No, I don't follow football.
Do you watch football? You do. Who do you support? Who do you support? Football? Southend.
No.
Okay. I've never been a football supporter, but I've been the captain of many rugby teams.
Right.
I was the captain of England 21.
Well, I can tell you're built like a rugby player as well.
So I've led people, but I've led people to defeat. I've led people to victory. But in that, they all have their own pace. Just because they put on a shirt, they didn't want to do the same as me. And when you've led as a captain, when you've been a leader, and when you've had the opportunity to incite one team or one religion or another, I had the opportunity. And believe me, I could have converted so many people to Islam in Bath, because they would have looked and thought he was leading his life really bad, and now he's not. But they would have known if I was Allah or Jesus, because my actions would have been the same. And that is walking with an open heart. Our conversation could go on forever, because what we're doing is passive. We're saying the same thing.
I think if we just slightly focus on where we may differ, and the only reason I want to do this, not in the form of let's disagree for the sake of disagreeing and having an argument, just for the sake of, because normally you really get to know each other is when you understand and appreciate each other's differences. Right? There's a lot of similarities between what we're saying, but the difference in what we're saying is, what I'm saying is that universal way of life that everyone should follow is Islam when understood properly. But you're saying that everyone should, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that everyone should follow their own chosen way of life, as long as they're following it and worshipping God through it. Is that what you're saying?
I would take that one step further and say that worship light and not dark.
So be good, do
That's
good.
it. It is very simple. Everybody has a conscious decision. They know which is right and which is wrong. And in that, you can't go wrong. It even sounds like poetry.
Well, you're a poet anyway, so I expect that. But can I ask you quickly regarding your personal beliefs when it comes to God, the Creator? What do you believe about yourself?
I believe very similar to what I've just read with this gentleman, and that is he comes to everybody who is present in their life, in their soul, and when that person is ready to open themselves, God will show Himself to that individual in the most articulate fashion for that person to be able to articulate. And in that is acceptance, and in that is to understand that we don't all like the same food. You know? So again, your question to me, it comes back in a very unanimous kind of, it's like a singing bowl. You touch this, it's going to go all the way around. And that's because it is unity, it is acceptance, and I have a very, 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 very good reason to not lean towards Islam, but I also have a very good reason to not lean towards Christianity. But that's only because of the world stage of what has been
Excuse me, sir, do you believe in God?
And for me, I'll make my own decision because I accept moderates, I accept extremists, and I understand where they are.
Does he believe in God?
But that gives me a really good point of reference to be able to, you know.
Yeah, but I'm saying if we put aside
Nonsensical comments.
our observations of certain individuals claiming to follow certain ways of life, Muslims claiming to be Muslims, Christians claiming to be Christian, X, Y, and Z. When it comes to your personal understanding of the creed, and I respect that, I really appreciate the fact you're saying that when someone is ready, and this is a very powerful point, when someone is ready to humble themselves and recognize they have a creator above them, then God reveals himself through his signs, and he shows signs to different people in different ways, depending on their nature and their own personality, right? And that's a profound point, and I would acknowledge that, and I say this is also part of Islam, because God tells us he shows his signs to people. Everyone sees different signs, right? But when it comes to the nature of God, who is it the one that we're turning to? Who is the one that we're willing to now accept?
Who is the one? That one is one special person for you, and one special person for him, and him, in his own contrast. And that is as far as the debate can go, unless
as best a historical
people start
person
trying to
as
school
anyone
and
will get
educate
to.
somebody else who may not be in that place of birth.
Sure. But one thing, don't you think that there has to be some sort of a understanding of the Creator, which people now are the one that's turning to?
And that is called realizing that you have a soul. And when you realize you have a soul, you realize that you're not in control. And that's what happens when you identify that you are not in control. That is when it is downloaded to you.
Okay, so let me phrase it a different way, I guess. What I'm saying is, so say there's a person and they want to start to become godly. They want to start to practice, they humble themselves, they realize that there's a creator. But they say that this creator, for example, is a man who walked the face of the earth. And
engage with what
he is
I
the
have
one
told.
worship. What would you think of that belief itself?
What I would say on a scientific level, because we have to accommodate for all intellects on this, and that is when you die, what does your soul weigh? What does your body weigh when your soul leaves? It is proven that it weighs something.
History.
Yeah? So without
are you
that
from?
drop of electricity, that spirit.
Where are you from, sir?
What are you?
Excuse me, sir, where are you from?
You're an agricultural cow.
Yeah.
Without your spirit.
Yeah.
But when your spirit becomes open,
Did you study history ever in your life?
To the will of God, wherever you may be in the world, and you make yourself present, then you become ignited. But you're not born until you open yourself to those possibilities, wherever you are in the country or in the world. Now, when I was in, for example, I was in Portugal. A lot of Muslims around me, and they couldn't believe this. Monolito, say it again. Say it again. He can say it better than me. He can say it quicker and better than me.
The 12 apostles
But what does it mean,
went around the
Monolito?
world preaching
And I
about Jesus
explained
Christ. I come from
That's
the
your
means-
reference to Surah Fatiha.
where
what it means to
Apostle
me.
Thomas came in the year
What it means to me.
80,052.
Not what is written,
I'm
but what
pretty
it means
sure
to me.
he doesn't even
And
know
what it meant to
about
me,
2018,
to these
let
Muslim
alone
guys who I was with in Portugal,
0052, because that's his
was a
level
moderate
of
understanding of
ignorance,
Islam.
which he demonstrates
And when I've explained
very clearly in a
to
public
Christians,
place,
to
which
Catholics,
he laughs
who have
at.
said, how can you say that? I've said exactly the same. So what we're saying is it is very similar in different languages, in a hypnotic way of prayer.
So I should
Very
rely on
similar
you
to the
now.
Rosary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee, and you repeat it. But what it does is it sends the vibration of the body into a relaxed state where you can receive the kindness which is manifested from many other people around you. And in that, you feel love.
No, I would agree with that, bro. So I completely agree with what you're saying. And you're making some very profound, deep, poetic points. And it's beautiful to hear it in this way, put it this way. But what I'm getting at is,
Excuse me, sir.
if we go to the foundations, essentially, yes, we're created to worship.
We can't get to the foundations. Do you know why? Because we can't get to the foundations of any God.
Okay, so let me.
Because it is infinite to
Because
the individual
I was
who
not
opens
showing-
their heart, which the heart is the muscle which can be ripped. There is no amount of pain that the heart cannot take. Through my own experiences in life, I used to be into bodybuilding. My muscles grow so much, then I needed steroids. I didn't want to take steroids. But when somebody started talking to me about opening your heart to all different religions, all different faiths, but being grounded in this life, through what window was I looking at? It was a window like that. At first I didn't know if it was in a mosque or it was in a church, but I was looking out. I wasn't looking in. And I think so many people now are in a position where they're too scared to look out because you'd be deemed as being an extremist, and instead people aren't talking. They're not talking civilly like we are. You know, I would consider you a very polite man and someone who I could sit and talk and share with. And this is us breaking food, manna, and in the desert amongst the wild animals. You know, this is us. You know, this is how it should be done, and it's an acceptance and not a contradiction. Because I run down there, I'm at 20 stone. You're going to run faster than me, but I'm going to lift, and you're not going to lift as much as me. We're all different animals in that sense. So where I'm at with it, and then when you say the foundation, if we want to drill down onto the foundation, I would say to you, brother, in the nicest possible way, open your heart more, because it is infinite.
No, but what I think I'm not getting across what I'm trying to ask is, what I'm trying to say is, do you believe in the Quran as revelation from God?
I believe elements of the Quran.
Okay, so let's go with that first for now. When God says, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Surah Ikhlas, one of the most famously recited verses, say He is God who is uniquely one, without a second. There's nothing like Him. He's a unique one. And at the same time, if you were to say you believe in parts of the Bible, which I assume you do, where God, there is this concept within the Trinity as it stands today, which is that God became man, or God, in essence, a part of God is man. Right? Now, these are two different views of who God is. Right? Now, what I'm asking you is, I love the fact that your understanding of the way you're conveying how we should all turn to God and open ourselves and humble ourselves and submit and worship and all of these things. We would agree to this. But what I'm getting at is, who do we worship? Now, when you say what a person
straight
says,
answer, that's down to you.
But I was
that's the answer. That's my chosen answer. That's down to you.
Yeah. But would you say God, the creator of everything, can become a part of His creation in some way, shape, or form?
I believe that God is manifested whenever any individual opens his heart and goes the extra mile.
But there's a difference now. There's a difference between manifesting and making Himself known to a person.
That spirit of the soul, when it's example, that great leap of faith, a courageous act, an absolute gift of generosity, unconditional love, etc. These things are they're very few and far between what you see in a modern walk around London. I've just travelled here from Bath and I've written poetry, like 3 poems about people not being in that zone. What I'm trying to say really is that unless a man or unless a body is soulless, it can open. Unless it's soulless, it's impossible to not feel the love of God. This is the debate, the point where, with respect, we have to look and say, well, that's a draw. But the draw is because I accept that you say it in your own language, that you say love in your own language, and you accept that I say love in my own language. And the memory of that encounter is something that you would hold on to going forward. So that, I believe, is God being created, because God is love, between a brother and a brother, and that is what love and life is about. So when you want to drill down on the Creator, and what we're doing is we're trying to we're trying to make it too specific. We make it so specific, people have an opinion, and then that opinion is detracted from.
No, I would say slightly different. I would say that it's necessary to understand who we worship and love, right? Who we're worshiping and loving.
But what if that individual doesn't know, because that person's in a state of trauma?
Well, you support them and guide them.
Yeah, but what if that person's alone? Because I was alone. I was alone. If you read the book what I've written, you'll understand what it's like to be alone and to sit there and say, who are you? Who are you? And for me to be in a state of trauma and pain, and to sit there and not know whether to pray in Arabic or English, to Christ. But the fact is, there was no either or. It was, you can connect any way, but open your heart.
I would agree with you. So when you say you can connect with God, you can speak to God in any language, because God's the creator of all languages.
That brother, that there is the little sign off of our conversation right there. That is.
Of course, because we would agree, God is the creator of everything. He made all languages, He made emotions, He's the one that's in control of everything.
I wrote something. I wrote something for
Sure.
I think I wrote, what's your name?
Imran.
Imran.
Yes.
I wrote something for I think for you, Imran.
Okay.
Which I'll read it for you. It's called, I think I got a plan. Okay. I wrote this. Is there anyone in the park? Can I come and have my say? Foreign men bending down, and we all join hands and pray. Squabbling like pigeons, standing in our own poop, jabbering and ranting, can't be nice, and hardly convenient. I'm a lyrical man, gonna do what I can, armed with these words, I think I've got a plan. This is the thing that's been burning deep inside. Can't believe it, fellow brothers. Am I the only one on this ride? So come close, and for now, let's all abide. Islam or Christianity, I ain't hearing it said true. Extremists on the run, wanting to murder me and you. I'm a simple man who can hardly spell, but this is my story and I'm gonna tell. Ever since I was a little boy, my granny mumbled and prayed. She sat me close to her knees, eating curry that she just made. She called me a